More horrible videos to have to deal with. Yeah, it's kind of odd, right? I don't, this stuff is a real argument being made by real human beings, so you have to deal with it, right? I don't think there's any way to logically get through to him, but maybe you can get through to some of the people that are saying, wait a minute, maybe that does sound like complete crap. Maybe you can get people to say that. So I'll go for it. So if you've already heard it before, yeah, I don't mind if you take a pass.
My first child, a son.
Bah! That's a little loud. Okay, so we'll do the voluming thing. So anyway, yeah, he's announcing the birth of his first son, his first child. So he plans on maybe more. Like he's about 75, right? Well, something over 45 anyway. It's just such a brilliant idea. Old men raising people. That just sounds so stupid. Anyway.
I was born a few days ago. And like all new mothers...
yeah, who cares? Like, we already know, like all dumb, ignorant bitches, she's just playing with the new kitten. Yeah, the silly, religious, kooky wife is just playing baby stuff, going goo goo gaga and stuff, and she's all, like, impressed. But she's just a silly woman. That's what silly women do. But him is a silly man. He's all, oh, I'm all proud. It came out with all his little appendages. It has all the right parts. Maybe. Maybe its dick is a little too small. Its nose is a little too big. But we'll see how it works out. Yeah, so you've passed through the first hurdle. Wow, we're so proud of you. Yeah, you're getting congratulated like you did something, right? Yeah, of course you didn't do shit. Except impose risk on some new being. You said, I'm going to play Frankenstein. And so, yes, you've gotten through stage 1 successfully. Okay, well, let's, keep rolling those dice, right? See if it lasts the first year, right? Because that's when some stuff can show up in that first year. And if you get through that, see if you can get to 7 or 8, get past the, childhood leukemia years. Bastards.
My wife is convinced that the baby is perfection, God itself, all that kind of thing.
La 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 la, because we're basically generally silly people, and that silly people must be silly, because they can't be anything else but silly, because that's not what we have brains for. Brains are for making silly, not stopping silly. Right? Isn't that why we have brains? I mean, it would take a whole bunch of brains to make us not silly, correct? I mean, you couldn't possibly be not silly, so... yeah, that's why we have big giant heads, is because it takes a lot of brains to be silly. And, it's only a little tiny bit of brains that, oh, logic, ooh, bad.
In a way, I feel the same way, but, my more analytical side says, no, it's just a little baby, that's all. Just a human being. No different.
Yeah, just a human being. Just another fucking log on the fucking fire. And that's all it's going to be. It's just going to get burned up. It's going to go pop, pop, sizzle, sizzle, zit, 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 and then it's going to be dead. So bravo, you've thrown another log on the old fire. Another shrimp on the Barbie. That's all you've done. Put another thing at jeopardy so it can squirm around for a few years. Maybe eke out a little bit of ooh, ooh, ooh. That was fun. And but otherwise, just pay the man, work for the man, burden for the man, put up with the bitch, and then die. Gee, you're such a fucking hero. I can't express how fucking impressed I am with your fantastically brilliant contribution to the fucking goddamn grinder horror. Way to shove some more meat into that grinder. Brav the fucko.
For me, no different from any other human being that has ever been born. I'm not sure.
Well, it's going to be a little bit different, right? It's going to probably lose its hair and have a big giant honker. Honk honk.
I'm trying to say that I don't love the child. I most certainly do.
Yeah, you don't even know it, so yes, I love it because, oh, it's mine and whatever her name is. What's her name again? I forget. Yeah, we made it together. We mixed our little, she threw in her whatever. Mushrooms, and I threw in my maple syrup, and there you go. Mushrooms and maple syrup. Yum, yum, yum.
But, again, I like to, sort of analyze things and sort of say what's it like to be a little baby and what it...
Oh, yeah, what's it like? I guess you can't remember when you were one, so you'll have to just sit there. Now you can see it throwing up and getting the croup and turning colors and weird shit flying out of its ass. So you can see all that up close and personal. So that'll be good.
Does it mean to be a newborn, etc., etc.? Now,
it means need, want, wine, cry, blah, blah, blah. That's what it means. It means just a drony, really stupid program. It's not even Windows 3.1. It's like the worst fucking operating system on earth is a fucking newborn baby. It's shit for an operating system. It is drooly, mush, cry. And once in a while, just this little hee-haw comes out of it.
What is the nature of a human being? Now, this question is important.
Yeah, well, I guess it is important. Apparently, I thought the nature of human beings was they were feeling, thinking machines. But apparently, that's not the nature. Apparently, it's not their nature to do any of this thinking shit, to be logical, to map out the reality, to put things in, to recognize things have properties and put them in categories and recognize that that's a heavy thing, that's a tall thing, that's a short thing, that thing can hurt me, that thing can't hurt me. No, that's not what we are. We're not some sort of thinking device on a feeling device. No, we're idiots, apparently. Motherfucking stupid fucking cunt morons. That's apparently what we are. Morons.
What value do we have? What are we?
Apparently, we're just more food for the goddamn grinder, and that's all you can figure out to do. Is you apparently can't put 2 plus 2 together because you can't trust that 2 is 2 and 2 is 2. Yeah, because you're too fucking insane.
And the answer to that, generally, if you ask me, says more about the person who is answering it than it does about the actual value of human beings.
Right, so the actual value of human beings is secondary to the importance of figuring out whether somebody has a character flaw of thinking too much. That's what he just basically said, right? He thinks thinking too much? Well, that says a lot about you. You're an asshole. You worry too much? You're worried about risk? Well, you're insane. You're crazy. That's what this fucker believes. You've got a psychological problem if you just don't do what the DNA tells you, buddy. Just do what the Borg says. Do what the Borg says. Do what the Borg says. Tradition is our motto. Be a traditionalist. Tradition. Okay, be the master race of your traditions. Be the best traditional motherfucking dumb cunt you can be. Yeah, do as Nietzsche says. Just be a dumb fucking animal. Ugh, crap.
Or the value of human life, or whatever you want to call it.
The value of human life, whatever you want to call it. This stupid engagement, we involve ourselves in this thing where we get all caught up in all this drama and this soap opera, and it's all this trails of tears. The loving and losing. The pain. But ignore all that, because it's all just a cartoon, according to this guy. It's a can of fucking beans, or chickpeas, or banana cream pie a la mode. Fuck.
And that's an important question. What are we? What is our value?
What are we? What is our value? Again, the value is in our sentience. I think I can figure that much out. I've got that one nailed down pretty tight, okay? That there's real value in me not having needles in my eye. That's really cool. Are other impediments to my sentient comfort. That's what I am. I'm a comfort-needing machine. I need to be comfortable. That's what I am. I'm a thing that needs to be comfortable. And you make me very, very, very uncomfortable. You scare the fucking poo-poo out of my colon.
What does our existence mean? Whatever. Because...
Right, so this guy's going to ask these questions as if they don't have answers, and yet he's going to say, make more. I don't know what it is. I can't tell you anything. I'm just going to ask these open-ended, silly questions as if there's no answers, and then I'm going to say, let's do it some more. Why? Well, because isn't that what the DNA says to do? Aren't we all supposed to just do what the DNA says? Yeah. Didn't you get the instruction book? Do what the DNA says. Smart people say so.
In my previous few videos, I've been saying that logic is essentially something that we have deified and we now worship. And
Okay, logic. By logic he means recognizing properties, like sentience, and then putting it in categories like it can be tortured. So we have categories like tall, short, harmless, harmful, different categories, and we have properties that are the list of the things the thing has to fit into the category. That's logic. It really isn't anything more than that. You appropriately recognize the two-ness of something, and then you add it to something else that might have three-ness, and you figure out that that equals five-ness. And it's just as simple, just as obvious almost an event. You do it from the minute you land here. This is what you do. You recognize the properties that things have. Table hard, nose mushy, penis fun. Yeah, you recognize properties and you put things in categories. No complication there at all. Not a difficult to understand process whatsoever. And yet these insane motherfuckers get rewarded for telling people it's complicated. Don't trust me, it's mysterious. We can't figure out what is going on. It's all woo-woo. No, it isn't.
some of the worst offenders at this sort of thing, if you ask me, are self-described rational atheists.
Right, self-described rational atheists. These are the things you got to worry about. These people that sit there and do this. Yes, categories are descriptions of reality, and properties are descriptions of reality, and it makes perfectly good sense to put things in these categories, recognize differences, recognize relationships. Figure out that the circumference is related to the circumference is related to the diameter based on this idea of pi. Oh yes, that seems like a... No, let's not do that. That would be stupid. It would be stupid of us to figure out relationships, acknowledge their existence, and develop an understanding of the world based on an understanding of those relationships. And understanding the relationship between sentience and torture. No, we don't want to do that. There's no such thing. There's no relationship between risk and certain activities, and no. We'll just pretend it's all a cartoon, and it doesn't matter what color you draw it in, or it doesn't matter what shape it's in. It's all just a cartoon, and it doesn't matter because it'll all be dead anyway. His kid will be dead anyway, so once he's dead, it doesn't matter. It's in the past. It never happened. That's his philosophy, and you fuckers are rewarding it. And that's goddamn scary.
They can't see that logic is simply a way of correlating information and information.
Simply a way of correlating information, right? Like that's not an important thing. Like that's not a significant thing. Recognizing the fact that something is doing harm, recognizing that you are causing torture to something wouldn't be kind of important. So like if you're driving a car, it wouldn't be important to understand that if the car tire is on somebody's foot, they would be in pain. That knowledge is totally meaningless. It's not an advancement or an enhancement of our existence that we would be capable of understanding there's a relationship between tire on foot and suffering. That would be silly. That's a waste of fucking brain. Brain should do just silly stuff. Just play tic-tac-toe. Just do what the DNA says. Don't do anything more. Take, period. Take, period. Take, period. Take, period. Take, period. Take, period.
Information only exists in here. Information is a concept.
So he's just saying again that all the relationships that exist, the ones we identify, only exist as an illusion in our brain. We say the word torture. It's only torture in our brain. There is no real torture in the environment. No one really feels in the real world. No real blood squirts out of the organism as it gets run over by the car tire. Nothing real happens. It's all just words in our fucking head, and none of those words are correlated to any actual event in reality. This is the insane gibberish you people are rewarding.
Concepts exist in the head, nowhere else.
There you go. Concepts exist in the head, nowhere else. He's saying tall, fat, thin, harmable, harming, destructive, productive, efficient. All of these things are just notions in our head. They have nothing to do with reality. So go ahead, buy an SUV that gets 1 mile to a gallon, because there's no such thing as efficiency. There's no such thing as using more gas or using less gas. Nothing exists. There is no reality. There is no nothing. Don't take any vitamins, because they obviously don't do anything, because nothing does anything. I mean, what a hypocrite, right? Because we know he worries about this shit. You know he knows there's a thing called a shirt label, and it can dig a hole in your neck if you don't watch out. He knows it.
So logic is now a tool. To analyze that tool, we have to decide what the creator is. The creator.
Well, the creator of the tool, again, and is the tool a microscope or a telescope? And now we're going to worry about who created the telescope. Because it's not a telescope, it's a distortoscope. Because human beings made it, it means it can't possibly be looking at reality. So if you ever see a picture of the cosmos, it's a lie, because humans made the telescope, and humans are obviously subjective animals that are only doing what the DNA says, and the DNA says don't see better. It always says see the way what you want to see. So it's all a lie, it's all bullshit. This guy tells so.
There is logic. Sorry, the creator is a human being. What are human beings? That question.
Again, this is complicated to any of you people. I mean, you know what evolution is. You know what human beings are, where we're from, our origins, and you can certainly, I think, understand the idea of a motivating mechanism and a strategy mechanism, a scheming tool, and that's what we possess, and that these tools can be modified through understanding. The more we know what tools, what elements of that psychology are telling us the truth and which ones are telling us lies. Do you think this guy cares about the truth?
Makes a lot of people very uncomfortable. Now I can understand why, say, a religious person would be uncomfortable by that, or would want a clear-cut answer handed to them so they don't have to think it through. In other words, are we fallen beings that are horrible and, we need to claw our way back up to redemption? That's what's...
Right, that sounds like a Christian to me, but let's see what else he says.
Some Christians think. Or are we made in God's image and we are therefore somehow above everything else? That's the Christian answer to that kind of thing. And
yeah, so it's the Christian answer and the Christian answer. So he just opposed two different perspectives, and they were both cited as Christian. So this is making a lot of sense, right? Oh, that's brilliant. Let's point out the contradiction between a crazy Christian and a crazier Christian, and somehow apply that argument to the atheists, these rational atheists. Yeah, sorry, no, not even close to a sale.
it doesn't do it for me.
Yeah, well, this argument ain't doing it for me, okay? Yeah, so I can make that joke, too. You're not even coming close, buddy. Not even, you're not even rustling a hair on my hiney with this argument. This isn't even coming close to swaying a single tiny little fucking electron in my goddamn brain. Not one single electron has any doubt that you're anything but a psychopathical lunatic. Not one of them has any doubts. It's a complete majority. It's a complete polarity of a vote. There's absolutely no dissenting electron votes for you. Not one electron is saying, no, he might be right. No, none of them. Not one is raising its hand saying this guy has a chance in fucking goddamn duty poop of being fucking correct about any of this bibble babble. He's a fucking lunatic.
But you ask an atheist, what are we? What do you mean, what are we?
No, yes, exactly. What do you mean, what are we? That's right, we're evolved from pond scum. That's right, we're tool-equipped DNA replicators. That's what we technically are. Nothing more, except the tools have created a consciousness and a sentience and all this other stuff that seems like it's sort of important because it makes things like suffering possible. That would be my description.
Okay, what's logic? Okay, well,
Well, logic again is just recognizing that things are different. This thing is different than that thing. I mean, this thing is incredibly different than, a horse's penis. It's like nothing, barely even sort of connected in any way. I mean, it's, a little bit, maybe you could find some similarities, but there's not going to be too many similarities. All this shit is different, and we can recognize the difference, and we can recognize the categories that the differences place things in. How can anybody rational disagree with that? How can anyone who has any kind of reasonable brain function disagree with this simple function of just recognizing that things are different, that they have relationships to each other, and they have properties that make them like each other or unlike each other? Oh, fuck! It is a big news.
The atheists that I've run into, a lot of them will say that logic is an absolute thing. And then I say, no, it isn't. It's just a creation of humans.
There you go. It's just a creation of humans to recognize that two-ness plus two-ness equals four-ness. That pouring water on flour makes mucky flour, or, all this other stuff. All that deduction of what will happen, what has always happened, what evidence is, what probability is, all of that stuff is just made up. It's not a description of reality. And he gets 17 thumbs up versus 2 for basically saying we're not seeing reality, we're not talking about reality, we have made it all up. You fuckers really believe that? Then I'm going to, I'm sorry, you're fucking insane, and you should be in goddamn cages.
The atheists are the ones who start to squirm a bit when you say, no, we got to look back into the mirror.
Well, why don't you show me the atheists that are squirming a bit, laughing man? Why don't you make your argument specific just once in a while? Actually identify a target instead of straw men. You create these straw men, scapegoaty bullshit, and you just apply it as if it's a reasonable statement, a reasonable characterization. I'm characterizing you in a very direct manner. I'm saying you are an insane motherfucker. That your disconnect from reality is so substantial that you are in a place where you can't possibly see anything real.
To find out what logic actually is. It's interesting, because I noticed this in things like looking at natural selection and things like that, where atheists and people who believe themselves to be rational and free-thinking recoil at the idea of putting humanity above logic.
Of putting humanity above logic. Again, what does that have to do with natural selection? So because the crude forces that made us are crude, we're obligated to be crude. Because the forces that made us are crude, we are wrong if we step out of the maze. So if you're a human being and you crawl up the wall of the maze and look around, you've committed some kind of crime. God damn it. Okay, so let's finish up here. Irritating.
Putting humanity above science. That is a bit too much for them.
Yeah, well, I mean, logic, right? So he's just saying, look, we're putting something called humanity, whatever the hell that is. You mean silliness. Putting silliness above science. Putting frivolousness above science. Putting self-indulgence above science. Putting greed and avarice and, need. Personal perception of need. Putting culture above logic. Putting tradition above logic. Yeah, why wouldn't somebody rational say, yeah, that would be stupid? That's the very thing intelligence can create in you, is an ability to recognize you're doing something illogical. The Einstein thing, doing the same thing and expecting different results. Yeah, we can figure it out. Okay, yeah, this is what it's going to turn into. This is what the risk is. We can understand that, and we can modify our behavior. Yeah, that's just such a stupid thing for human beings to do. So fucking stupid.
And they almost have, I would say, a religious reaction.
Yeah, whatever that means too. They have a reaction like, oh my God, you mean you're not going to consider torture? You're not going to consider catastrophic failure as important considerations in the decisions you're going to make? You're just going to ignore the possibility of catastrophic failure? You're going to do something that has the possibility of catastrophic failure and you're not going to care? Yeah, that should scare the fuck out of people.
What happens if we take any benchmark away from us to judge ourselves by?
Any benchmark away from ourselves to judge ourselves by. What happens if we take away any benchmark by which to judge ourselves by? Oh, you mean that if we shouldn't even judge if we're rapists and murderers and vampires?
We need something up there in the ether as a yardstick to make sense of.
So this is he's saying that there's somebody who actually says this. Some rational, scientific type person is saying we need somebody to tell us right from wrong because we can't figure it out right here on Earth by putting things in categories and recognizing what has value, which is sentient creatures potentially being tortured and that kind of thing. That we can't figure this out really obviously. And he's just implying that somehow people who are rational and do this rational thing where they just say, well, I know it's valuable. I mean, I'm sentient. I feel it. I know the feelings are which really matters. I know I don't want to have a broken leg. I know other people don't want to have a broken leg. I know that it's not going to matter if I'm tortured or they're tortured. It's just torture. I can figure out that the animals are doing basically the same thing. This isn't that complicated. Connecting these dots just takes only honesty. All it takes to connect the right dots is honesty. And it's only dishonest people trying to rationalize self-interest that you could ever get confused.
Ourselves. Because we can't do that by looking at ourselves.
We can't do that by looking at ourselves. Again, how can we, how else do you do it besides looking at yourself? By just simply measuring your behavior. By recognizing as you're a kid and you start to learn and you start to figure out, oh, I just did something so grotesquely selfish. You know, I ate the last potato chip, or I did this or I did that, and then my sister now is crying because I did something. Or of course we can do that. Of course we can start to learn what the implications, that actions have implications, that actions have jeopardy, and that you have to have responsibility. You have to take responsibility for that jeopardy. Well, we don't have any problem figuring that out. Nobody you're honestly arguing with can't figure that out. You've created a straw man imbecile to argue with, and called it atheism, or called it rationality, or called it logic. And it's a fucking disgusting lie. Argue with somebody real. Quit arguing with your fictitious cartoon characters. Nobody who has any a minor appreciation for science and logic is going to have any problem at all answering any question you pose to them.
Why not? What are you afraid of?
See? I mean, what is this? They're not afraid. Nobody's afraid of you. There's no atheist afraid of your questions, your gesturing. Yes.
Atheist?
Yeah, your silly smile. So he's what are the atheists afraid of? So are you atheists at 17 who thumbed up this video? Probably atheists, I would imagine. Maybe they're just Christians. But so you think you're on the spot. This guy has put you on the spot. This guy makes you think. This guy makes you wonder. He's challenging you. You can't answer the question. What are human beings? You can't answer it. You don't know. Man, this is pathetic. So anyway, we're done, I think. I should deal with the comments. Yes, I did read one comment before. You know, who knows what's on here now. Ugh, dimwit in the morning. Here we go. This guy. So here we have just, a guy making a comment, and he's just an overt liar, which is just funny, right? I mean, it's just so easy to catch him in this preposterous lie. So congratulations on the new kid. A couple of days ago, I found out my wife is pregnant with our first child, our first kid. So he's saying first kid, and she's only pregnant. So just keep that in mind. It is due May 10th. Okay, so that's almost 8.5 months from now. So she's barely pregnant. 10 years of trying finally paid off. She was a religious person until a few years ago when she realized all the praying wasn't working. She trusted science to help us conceive, and I think that was what broke her of religion. Get this part. This is hilarious. Leaving it in God's hands, as her family put it, got us 7 miscarries. So the guy's saying they couldn't get pregnant, and now he's saying they've had 7 miscarriages. Idiot! You have to be pregnant to have a miscarry. Okay, this wasn't a fertility problem. Apparently, she's not very good at carrying babies, not conceiving babies. You don't even understand the difference between conception and not conception. I mean, come on, you can't get this wrong. You can't be pregnant unless you conceived, you idiot. Oh, anyway. Then her belief dwindled. She learned she learned to the doctors, and boom, pregnant now. And boom, pregnant now. She's been pregnant 7 fucking times by your own testimony, retard. Her parents told us that the kids were lost were because we weren't good enough people. She's only been carrying it for like 20 days. She's 20 days pregnant, and you've already declared it not vulnerable to miscarriages. When did she have the other miscarriages? At 3 days? She knew when she was 3 days pregnant? Well, you're fucking... This is just such a pile of absolute shit. And the kids were lost would be waiting for us in heaven. So anyway, so this guy just obviously just made this shit up. So he tells this little soppy story, and it's just obviously a fucking lie. I mean, somebody who's been through 7 miscarriages is not going to celebrate when his wife is 20 days pregnant. 20-day pregnancy is not going to be reason for celebration when she's had 7 miscarriages. Amazing. You're just like, what the fuck? And kind of delightful. So yeah, it's a very good story. Tell me some more stories. I love stories. Who the fuck cares about anything called the truth? Let's see if there's any others. Let's see if anybody said, wait a minute, that sounds like a preposterous lie. Oh, here we go. My wife is a practicing Christian, so that's even better, right? So he, practicing imbecile. Okay, yeah, so his kid is already half imbecile. Well, it's not genetic, but you never know. But she knows what happens when... I mean, it's almost genetic nowadays, right? I mean, if you're still a Christian, you're genetically shit, okay? Your brain ain't working. Because you got nothing to cling to anymore. So, yeah, it is kind of an intelligence test. You already know the kid's going to have diminished intelligence because, fuck. If somebody can't get past Christianity in 2014, they're really in trouble, mentally. What happens when that comes up at the dinner table? Well, I don't know. The kid's going to be really doomed. I mean, he's just totally fucked. He's got an imbecile dimwit as a mother, and he's got a sadistic, crazy, nihilist, insane fuck as a father. So, yeah, he's in big shit. About the same thing as happens when I show up 2 hours late for the same dinner. Smiley face, because I was fucking some whore. Because my 14-year-old wife is too old now. Because she's 17 now. Oh, it's all just too disgusting. Too disgusting. Yeah, there should be a rule. Too disgusting. The fucking horror.